Just I also like for Skulk, I'd rather have more energy than like movement because Skulk's already so fast, isn't it?
Well, not
Then-
exactly. So if you put debug speed in console, so go up to console and type debug, all one word, I believe. Yeah, so debug speed. So let me switch teams and we'll go over like movement speed mechanics real quick, because even without celerity, you can go fast, but you go much faster with celerity. So if you want to try with adrenaline, like do maybe adrenaline versus celerity.
So if I'm just running, it's it's
Yeah,
a lot less.
but watch this.
If I do wall jumps, it's like the same as celerity.
Right, but let's start in like platform, and it could be that we both have different experience with wall jumping, so this may not be the
Wait,
best
do you have
test.
celerity then?
Yes, I have celerity. All right, so if you want to just hold W and see how much faster it is just walking.
You're just walking.
Yeah. So we're just walking on the ground. It's a little bit
It's a lot
faster.
quicker.
Yeah, what's your current speed in the debug speed menu? You turned on debug speed, right?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so what's the, when you're just walking, what is the current speed?
It's like 7.26-ish.
And mine's like 8.75. Now, when we start wall jumping,
Yeah.
I'm hitting 12, 12 and a half. You know, it depends on how accurate I am with the wall jumps.
I'm hitting like about 9-ish, maybe. Or 10 if I get a good jump.
I like to use one leap to get my speed started up if I'm like at a stopped position. So you want to, you know, because you want to ramp up the speed to a certain point and then try to keep it up. So if I'm losing speed, I might use it, but then like make sure that I'm making sure, you know, aware of how much energy I have so that I continue to let it build up. But I will add a leap in there every once in a while to make sure that I can keep my speed even if I'm not hitting my wall jumps or if I'm in rooms where... But I want to make sure that I have at least 1 to 2 leaps when I hit a marine, and then also want to make sure that I have enough to bite and possibly parasite if I have to.
And
But
the thing is, like, some rooms like Hub, it's kind of hard to get close enough to a marine, isn't it, though? Especially if there's like 3 of them in this room.
yeah, but
Like,
look at the speed in which I enter this room. So I'm coming from north tunnels. I'm going to leave the hive and come up there.
yeah. I guess celerity is better then.
Yeah, generally it is, because leaping around, I mean, a good marine, maybe with bad marines that it'll help to have more leap, but a good marine is going to shoot down a leaping Skulk when they're not moving as fast. But celerity, I'm hitting 14, almost 15 speed here. So see if you can try to keep up with me. If we start platform and run all the way to shipping and then back to hub, something like that, like go all the way to the south and then come back. You ready? Okay, you can start. Go ahead, just go. So the idea is to like think about, you know, how can you get to this level of speed as quickly as possible and try to maintain your speed during game. Now, one of the things you probably aren't doing that I am doing is like even when I'm jumping, so basically I hold A or D and time my jumps when I hit the ground. So notice the sound that happens when you normally jump, right? Now,
Yeah.
watch what happens when I'm going to come flying through, just stay in hub, and you'll hear that every jump that I'm doing is still going to have it. Oh, there, I missed it, but...
Oh yeah, I hear it.
But, like, these are the jumps where I'm not wall jumping. That's because I'm holding A and pressing jump at the exact right time. So you can do a full speed jump, pretty much, without actually touching the walls. So you can wall jump without wall jumping. I'm holding control, I'm holding A,
Oh, yeah, I see it.
and I'm hitting spacebar. Now, so combine celerity with this method of moving faster. You hear it? You can hear that like
Yeah.
trigger sound that happens whenever you do a wall jump. So that's the, you know, you can do it with A or D. Just hold one, hold control, and then just time your bounces off the ground. And then when you, you know, play with your energy, make sure you're aware of it. But think of Skulk as basically a fade that's weaker. Because essentially fades, once they have fades with blink, forget metabolize, but fades with blink is the same as Skulks with leap. Except the Skulk has much less energy, because the leap costs a lot more energy than the blink does. But it's the same thing, so I basically play Skulk as if I was a fade with limited abilities. And with fade, I hold control all the time, and I'm constantly pressing spacebar. And I don't hold control or A or D to do the wall jumping, but that's like, you know, the way to get the Skulk to kind of make up for the deficit from not being able to leap constantly. But you use the leap to get yourself, like, you know, either pick up speed because it takes a while to build up speed, right? So if you've stopped moving, then let me, like, check this out. So I'm going to stop moving here in hub, and now I'm going to not use leap to try to catch my max speed. I have to kind of wall jump and I got to get my speed up to a certain point, and then you can start hearing that noise again. But if I use leap, I can almost immediately get it. So you have to be like above a certain speed and holding A or D and control so that you don't accidentally grab onto any walls or objects. So I just get into a habit of constantly holding control, whether I'm in fade or Skulk mode, you know. And you can use whatever key you want, but I'm holding crouch at all times, and then I'm holding A and W. And then I'm just hitting spacebar at exactly the right time. And this gives you way more speed. But if I start from a stop, I use leap one time to get myself some speed so that I can start getting that sound. I'm listening for that sound to happen so that it indicates that I'm getting my full, like, speed burst. And then at that point, I mix in a leap every once in a while because it'll make my speed go up closer to 15. So I want to keep my speed near 15 or above 15 at all times if I can. With, you know, and you don't want to miss any jumps. And so then what I try to do is keep my leap, my energy up so that it's at least like 75% or above. So I might do one leap and then let it recharge. And that way when I come across a marine, I can leap at him again and then do like probably 4 or 5 bites. Or get a parasite and then get 1 or 2 bites. Like, the idea is to leave enough to do a parasite and a few bites, and hopefully leave enough to do at least 1 leap into their, you know, into their face, basically. But I mean, here, you know, if I turn a corner or whatever, I'll give myself a leap to get a little bit of speed boost. So that's basically Skulk movement tutorial. I mean, that's essentially how you move as a Skulk. If you don't have leap, you can still gain speed, but when you start from 0, you're going to want to wall jump off of a few things to get your speed up, and then once it's up, you don't need the walls anymore to do it. I find myself when I'm trying to wall jump spamming the spacebar a lot more. There's not a good interval between it, and that can lead to some missed wall jumps and some clipping against the wall. But once you get your speed up, then you can just... The only downside to this is the Marines will hear you through the walls. So if you come running around the corner, I've killed many Skulks that come around the corner and I just hear that sound, that wall jump / speed boost sound. I can hear it from a mile away. It's like hearing footsteps. And so if I hear 2 or 3 of those, I know where they're coming from. If you have good headphones, you know exactly where they're coming from. So that prepares me for them. But if you're moving fast enough, and especially if you're in a group of people... Well, I'm getting messages somewhere. I don't know where them come from. Whatever. So if you're in a group of people and everybody's moving this fast, you just swarm. It's like the Zerg, you know? You're just a bunch of Zerglings with speed upgrades, like just slamming them. So it's definitely, I always use this to try to get to my objective faster, because you always want to be attacking something if you can. You want to be threatening their back res. You want to be pushing the Marines. Generally speaking, speed is better than no speed. Really good Marines will slam you for it, though. So if you're playing competitive or something like that, this type of movement is good to get from place to place, but you have to be able to like go from 0 to fast movement right before combat, because a lot of times you want to try to ambush, or it's really good for like, you know, pack play when you're in a pack of aliens. But otherwise, like, you know, the higher the level, the less effective. Like, speed's still great, but the speed is not the most important thing when it comes to your initial engagement. In a higher level, at the beginning of the game especially, like, ambush attacking is your biggest strength. And in pub play, that's different because the lower skilled Marines can't handle the speed. They just can't handle, like, you know, random movements, like running up the walls and coming, you know, you can, if you're holding control and using wall jumping in the middle of a fight, you can pick up speed in the middle of trying to combat a Marine. Because you can jump off the wall and then try to, you know, go up the ceiling and keep using the walls to hide from the Marine, or to, like, block the bullets from the Marine, and then at the same time ramp up some speed with some wall jumps in the middle of a fight. So it's important to use the walls in fights, like, not just run straight at them, not jump at them the way we're doing. But this is really the key to moving around the map fast. This is what's going to give you the best chance of getting to that resource tower faster. And especially against lower skilled Marines. And most pub servers are going to be full of lower skilled Marines. Even the ones where the average hive skill is 2,000 to 3,000. It's still, that's not high skill. High skill is those guys who are just absolutely insane. I mean, they're corner peeking without actually moving their crosshairs all the way. Like, they're timing their pushes. They're, you know, they can kill 2 or 3 lurks in a row without dying with direct shotgun hits. Like, they're on a whole nother level. That's not really what you're seeing in pub play right now. Mostly pub play is about people that can't handle the basic mechanics of the game, or even when they're decent with the mechanics, they tend to do stupid things, like they throw themselves away at the same resource tower over and over, which in some cases can help, but they often do it in cases where it's not as helpful. And then they also don't have, like, great skills when it comes to, like, getting the team to respond to different situations or strategy. So a lot of pub play is kind of, you know, at that level where there's things that everybody's got to work on, and nobody's, like, really excellent in every area. Some people are, but very few. And so speed really matters in pub play. And speed is great in regular play too, because you need to buy, you know, in competitive play, because you need to buy res, you need to get behind them, that kind of stuff. So you really, like, have to get to the resource tower really, really fast. And then you have to be able to, you know, choose when not to take on the Marines and get around them. But you have to do it, there's only 6 players per team, 5 on the field and 1 commander. So with the 5 of you on the field, you have to, like, you know, be able to get back to the group and fight, and then go back out and buy resource towers, and you have to do it as fast as possible. So it's really important to master Skulk speed. Alright, so that's the Skulk movement there, and that's why celerity I think is better, because even if I were to switch to, say, adrenaline, even if I can leap more often, my max speed tends to be around 13, maybe 14, but it never really hits 15. So the trade-off there is that I have more leaps, but while leap is pretty decent in a fight, I think speed is better. Like, just overall speed, because I can both have enough leap to make a difference in a fight most of the time. Like, having multiple leaps in one fight can be okay in a 1v1 scenario, but the movement speed usually makes it harder for people to track you, and it lowers their percentage of accuracy. And so basically my top speed is around 13, barely hitting over 14, versus, you know, over 15, 13 to 15. You know, I don't know. I'm sitting at like 12.2 right now, and then if I leap, I get up to like 13 something, which is different from being around 14, nearly 15. So having more leaps isn't that great, just because once you get below a certain energy point, the energy regeneration rate isn't that much greater that it justifies it. It's only really great within that, like, for one, you have more of it, but in that extra band where you have, like, extra fast regenerating energy, that's where it makes more difference. So you kind of have to time your leaps around the same anyway, but overall it takes longer to get to places, and I don't really see it as being necessary as a Skulk. Adrenaline's, I guess, better for newer players if they're not aware of how to manage their stuff. I think more newer players rely on it. It can be pretty good if you're, like, you know, really, really good players will use any ability and make it really work. Even if they have disadvantages, they compensate in other ways. They just have a better understanding of the mechanics of the game. But I still think that celerity overall is really good. Speed is important. So